My sister destroyed my family with lies about my husband 2 years later. Her fiancé uncovered the shocking truth. 2 years ago, my world collapsed because of one person, my sister. She accused my husband of having an affair with her, and shockingly, my parents believed every word. 2 years later, her own fiancé uncovered the truth. She was cheating all along and had fabricated the entire story. It's hard to even know where to begin. There's so much buried inside me, and I need to get this out, not for pity, but maybe for clarity. I'm sorry if this feels long or all over the place, but it's been sitting on my chest for far too long. I'm 30, married to the love of my life, Jake, 34, for 8 amazing years. We have 2 kids together, our 6-year-old daughter and our 4-year-old son. For the longest time, I thought I had it all: a loving partner, 2 healthy children, a peaceful home, and a sense of security that made me believe nothing could shake us. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but it was ours. We laughed often, communicated openly, and made every decision together. I truly believed we were unbreakable. Then came Lily, my older sister, also 34, and everything I built came crashing down. Lily's romantic life had always been turbulent. To be completely honest, she was a walking red flag when it came to relationships. She'd fall hard, fast, and full of obsession. Then the drama would start: jealousy, manipulation, endless fights, until the guy finally walked away. It became a cycle. Every new boyfriend seemed like the one for a month or 2. Then she'd start snooping through their phones, accusing them of things they didn't do, and when it ended, she'd come crying to me about how men always betray her. She used to sit in my living room for hours, ranting about how lucky I was to have Jake. But her tone always carried something darker: envy. She'd say things like, "You don't know how good you have it. Why can't I meet a man like Jake?" I tried not to take offense. I pitied her, really. I even tried to help once. I introduced her to one of Jake's single friends, thinking maybe she just needed a fresh start. But that blew up almost immediately. She became controlling, possessive, and downright scary with him within weeks. I had to step in before that friendship was ruined forever. Despite everything, I kept hoping she'd turn things around. I wanted my sister to find love and peace. But clearly, she didn't want the same for me. 2 years ago, on our 6th wedding anniversary, Jake and I hosted a family barbecue at my parents' house. It was supposed to be a day of celebration, laughter, good food, our kids running around with their cousins. I remember looking around that day and thinking, this is happiness. This is everything I ever wanted. Then Lily pulled me aside. At first, she was unusually nice, complimenting me, saying she was proud of me, acting warm for once. But then her voice shifted, her expression turned strange, and she dropped a bomb that would turn my life upside down. She told me she and Jake had been having an affair starting shortly after our wedding. I laughed at first. I genuinely thought she was joking, but she didn't laugh back. Her face was serious, cold, almost smug. She said Jake had been texting her behind my back, that their conversations got emotional, then physical, that he'd confided in her about how our marriage was falling apart. I felt my stomach twist. I asked if she had proof, screenshots, messages, anything. That's when she hesitated. She said she'd deleted everything, but insisted I should believe her because she's my sister. That was the moment I knew she was lying. I'd seen her pull this act too many times before. I know the tone she uses when she's faking tears. When she realized I wasn't buying it, she started crying harder, accusing me of not believing family, and saying she only told me to protect me. Before I could even process, she ran to my parents and repeated the same story in front of everyone, yelling, crying, claiming Jake had manipulated her. Jake stood frozen. He thought it was some horrible prank until my father began shouting at him, calling him names, accusing him of using Lily. My mother glared at him like he was a stranger. I stood there, numb. My own sister had just accused my husband of sleeping with her, and my parents believed her. Not me, not their daughter who'd never given them a reason to doubt her. That night, Jake and I sat down and talked through everything. I looked into his eyes and saw nothing but pain, not guilt, but heartbreak that my family would think he'd do something so vile. I trusted him. I knew my husband. Lily, on the other hand, had a long history of lying. She'd once broken up with a boyfriend by faking screenshots of him flirting with another woman. She'd call my mom crying about how he was cheating, then later admit she made it up just to see if he cared. This was her pattern: drama, attention, destruction, rinse and repeat. But my parents didn't care. They cut Jake off completely, stopped speaking to him, and started treating me like I was delusional for defending a cheater. My mother even said, "You're choosing your husband over your own blood." That broke me. Jake and I eventually decided we couldn't live like that anymore. For the sake of our sanity and for our children, we went no contact. It was brutal at first, but slowly we began to heal. We focused on our little family, our own peace. Then, just when I thought it was finally behind us, Lily reappeared in the worst way possible. One evening, I was scrolling through Facebook when I saw her engagement photos. She was all smiles, posing with a man named Mark, her new fiancé. Her caption, "After all the heartbreak and betrayal, I finally found someone who loves me for who I am." The irony nearly made me sick. She had turned herself into the victim of betrayal, using our family tragedy to make herself look brave and inspirational. And the comments, filled with sympathy and praise. "Good for you, Lily. You deserve happiness after what you went through. So glad you found real love. You didn't deserve that pain. You're so strong." Some even threw shade at me indirectly, saying things like, "You're better off without toxic people." They didn't know. None of them knew. The same family who abandoned me was now cheering her on. And Mark, her poor fiancé, had no clue who he was really marrying. Part of me wanted to message him, to warn him before he ends up like the rest of us, tangled in her lies, torn apart by her games. But I didn't. I stayed silent. Because at the end of the day, I realized something painful but freeing. My peace is worth more than proving the truth to people who never wanted to see it. After seeing Lily's engagement announcement, I couldn't help but wonder if she had ever come clean to her fiancé, Mark, about what she had done to me and Jake. Or if she had spun yet another web of deceit to keep him in her control. For days, I debated reaching out to warn him, but deep down, I knew it wasn't my place. Mark deserved to uncover the truth on his own, just like I had. Still, a knot of unease sat in my stomach, knowing Lily was once again pulling strings and deceiving people for her own selfish gain. I tried to distract myself, focusing on work, the kids, and our daily life, but it was impossible not to think about her. Then, out of nowhere, I started receiving repeated calls from an unfamiliar number. At first, I ignored them, assuming it was spam or some telemarketer, but the calls didn't stop. After a few days, curiosity and frustration got the better of me. During a break at work, I finally picked up. The second I answered, I was met with screaming. It was Lily. She didn't even let me speak. She unleashed a flood of insults, accusations, and venom, her voice trembling with fury. I tried to calm her down to get her to explain what this was about, but she wouldn't listen. She was hysterical, calling me names and accusing me of ruining her life. After what felt like an eternity of chaos, I finally managed to get a few words in, asking her what had actually happened. There was a brief pause, just long enough for me to hear her take a breath before she shrieked, "How could you act so innocent after everything you've done?" And then she hung up. I sat there frozen, the phone still pressed to my ear, completely bewildered. What had I done? I hadn't spoken to her in months. I hadn't interfered with her life in any way. The only person who might have any clue about this madness was my Uncle Tom, one of the few relatives who never turned his back on me. Uncle Tom had always been the voice of logic amid our family's chaos, so I gave him a call. When I told him about Lily's meltdown, he sighed heavily before telling me what had really happened. Apparently, Mark had broken off the engagement. The reason? He'd heard whispers, family gossip, about Lily's so-called affair with my husband. He wanted answers. Mark, being a genuinely decent man, had sensed something was off for a while. Lily's erratic behavior had started to make him suspicious. She'd become possessive, defensive, and moody. So one day, he decided to look through her phone, and what he found shattered everything. Lily had been cheating on him. She'd been meeting up with a guy she met through a dating app, not just texting, but physically seeing him. The messages Mark discovered left no room for doubt. When confronted, Lily panicked. She tried to manipulate the situation, crying, apologizing, and eventually blurting out the truth about the Jake affair. She confessed that it had all been a lie, a story she made up to get attention and sympathy after feeling jealous of my marriage. But that confession didn't save her. It destroyed her. Mark was disgusted, not just because she had cheated, but because she had dragged an entire family through years of pain and division for no reason other than spite. He ended the engagement immediately. Once word spread, the same relatives who once stood by her began to step away. Her friends who once praised her strength suddenly went quiet. Her reputation, which she'd built on pity and falsehoods, started crumbling. And for the first time in years, my parents had to face the truth. They were stunned. The daughter they had blindly defended had been lying to them all along, and worse, she had destroyed relationships for fun. Part of me felt vindicated. Another part just felt tired. Because honestly, I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. I didn't want my sister to suffer, I just wanted her lies to stop, so I chose distance. I focused on my husband and kids, and finally life started to feel calm again. To everyone who followed my story and offered advice, thank you. Your kindness helped me stay strong through the darkest parts of this. Hey, everyone. It's been a hectic week, so we decided to take a short family getaway, just to breathe, reconnect, and reset after everything that's happened. It was exactly what we needed. During that quiet time, I revisited all of your comments from my last post, and I can't express how grateful I am. So many of you offered insight that helped me understand things I'd been blind to. One recurring observation from readers stuck with me: how Lily's obsession with Jake had always been there, even before she fabricated the affair story. And now, looking back, I can see it clearly. When Jake and I first started dating, Lily would constantly compliment him, sometimes sweetly, but often with strange undertones. She'd say things like, "Wow, he's way too handsome for you," or "How did you manage to snag someone like that?" At the time, I brushed it off as teasing, but now I realize it might have been envy disguised as humor. Anyway, since all this happened, my parents have been trying relentlessly to contact us. They've called, texted, and even sent letters asking to see the kids. Despite everything, I've decided to let them visit. Not for my sake, but for my children. They love their grandparents deeply, and whatever issues I have with my parents, I don't want my kids to lose that bond. That said, I'll be keeping clear boundaries. I won't allow them to minimize what happened or to guilt-trip me into forgiving and forgetting. But I can't deny that my parents were wonderful grandparents before all this, and I know my kids miss them. So the visit is happening soon. I'm nervous, but also hopeful that it will bring some form of closure, or at least a step toward it. Thank you again for reminding me that setting boundaries doesn't mean shutting people out. It means protecting your peace while allowing space for healing. Hi everyone, I wanted to share how the visit went, and honestly it went better than I could have imagined. At first it was awkward, quiet, tense, full of unspoken words. But then the kids ran straight into their grandparents' arms, and just like that, the ice began to melt. The house filled with laughter again, even if it was just for a little while. But the moment I knew was coming did arrive. During dinner, my daughter asked innocently, "When will Aunt Lily come see us?" The room fell silent. My parents exchanged glances, and I quickly changed the subject. But later that night, after the kids were asleep, I decided to address it directly. I asked them where Lily was. My parents told me she had moved back in with them and had been talking about wanting to apologize to me, to Jake, to everyone. But I couldn't take it seriously. After everything she did, an apology felt meaningless. I told them that if Lily truly wanted to change, she needed professional help. Her pattern of lying and manipulation wasn't just a mistake. It was a deep-rooted problem. I even suggested therapy or counseling because what she'd done went far beyond sibling rivalry. It was pathological. Interestingly, in the aftermath of all this, Jake and Mark, Lily's ex-fiancé, have become good friends. They connected over their shared experiences and started meeting up occasionally. They even discovered mutual hobbies and have been supporting each other as they both heal from the chaos Lily caused. Mark, thankfully, has started to rebuild his life. He's moving forward with grace and strength, and I truly wish him nothing but peace. As for me and Jake, we've learned more about trust, forgiveness, and resilience in these last 2 years than in our entire marriage. We're not fully healed, but we're on our way. We've learned to communicate more deeply, to protect our peace, and to keep toxic people, even family, at arm's length when necessary. If there's one thing this entire ordeal has taught me, it's that truth always surfaces, no matter how deeply it's buried under lies. Our family might never be the same, but maybe that's okay. Maybe this version, smaller, stronger, and more peaceful, is what we were meant to have all along. Thank you, Reddit, for walking with me through this storm. Your compassion and honesty helped me find the strength to rebuild, not the life I once had, but a new one that's built on truth and boundaries. We're still healing, but we're free. Thank you for being part of our community. Your likes, comments, and shares help us bring more unbelievable Reddit family stories every day. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a shocking story.